I have you guys on camera already.
What's the general always do?
No, you don't have to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
David.
So how come I get in there and he gets in there?
Not me, said the little red.
It's a good thing. Anybody have little
That crew
son?
get out of there to go eat?
Buy that
There's
thing.
one in the bathroom up there.
They're on their way down now. There you go, lay them down.
Smile, Doobee.
John's place.
I wish you would go change
Well,
Boy.
I'm
and
still
shave that fuzz off your
Richard,
face.
Lori, and Russell and Jeff.
who's in third? Well, I took it.
He's got biscuits for him. Not tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, half an hour.
Heart rate about normal.
A little accelerated, not anything that was in the ordinary. Everything can't oxygenate the muscles well.
Yeah.
Really was.
If it comes up, it's one of those it's hitting power.
Well,
They don't know what damage the car severely.
they don't drive that not from prayer.
They'll say that.
All right, y'all give him some rest now.
No!
Yeah. Everybody gets tired.
Not him. He's a kid. He's a big
We will never get him! Well, just let him out! Daddy, he's war! He's war! Get me that side.
Don't run up on there.
Yeah! Yeah! Where is he? Hold on, Derrik!
A shield. That's what I needed, a shield. A two shield.
Shelby, she might stop for supper though.
Well, how long's it been?
Well, it's about time. I figured about 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, but you didn't figure the mountain time driving, did you?
No, I just figured an hour, so I don't know how long it takes to come across there, but see, she was on the tail end of the trip, you know, it's a little slower probably. I don't know how much a 60 is interstate, that's the main thing. 60 goes across east and west, I know. Up on this
60.
end.
Are you talking about 70 up?
No, 60.
Where's 60 at?
Runs halfway between Branson and Springfield. Runs east and west. Runs over there to, runs all the way over to the border.
Not,
And I don't know how much of it was, corn.
Really?
What?
It's how much
It's
you...
better than I fix my hearing aid. Now what?
Now, really, hungry. All of you were to me. I was the only girl able to manage everything. You made me wash all the dishes. Mother let you play outdoors.
You also are wrong.
foxy one.
I was the brat because I took care of Bill. He was younger.
Yes,
John
baby
ate all the special things that Mother brought me to the grocery store. I would hide them. Sweet pickles and cheese and crackers. And you would find them and eat them.
Oh, I remember the bottle of olives that I bought and kept for myself in that pantry. And after they were opened, they started to deteriorate, and I made myself sick of them things. Nobody could have any but me. And I made myself dang sick of them olives. I couldn't face a olive for many years after that.
Y'all don't know this. None of you know. But I was ashamed to let it get out. I helped in the drugstore, inherited a gallon glass jug, which I wish I had today, of cashews, whatever they may be, and they were the most delicious, rich things. Now you talk about the man making himself sick. Was I one sick human? I'm sure I had two stomachs and they were both sick.
Bill, do you remember the years that
You
Mother
never
and Dad
experienced country life until you've been on the threshing crew. And
Come
when-
on, say it.
Oh, excuse me, Bill. I didn't realize you
No,
were...
she's mumbling in my ear.
Do you remember the years that Mother and Dad would go to town and leave me at home to try to polish the kids? And I couldn't do anything with John and Ernest.
Oh, that's always the truth.
And yeah, that's right. And I would decide as soon as they left that we were going to clean the pantry. We were going to clean the house. I would get out the white linen tablecloth that Mother took hours to iron, put it on the table, and we would cook all day long, and you guys would gripe, but you would help. Billy was the only one that really helped me and stayed by my side. Wallace would kind
Well,
of.
thank you, thank you,
One out of four is not a bad average.
Now what? Now I want to tell you about John. John tried to shoot. Well, let's put it this way. He shot at me with a shotgun, shot a hole through the wall, and missed me.
I didn't shoot at you.
Well,
I
anyway,
accidentally discharged.
with a shotgun. And then the other thing I want to say is I'm the smartest one of the whole group, except I got all my instruction from the rest of them. That's why I'm so smart. He'll tell one of the mean stories. I don't know.
What do you want me to do?
Well, I think you ought to tell us some kind of story about...
He was also asked to tell his story once again. And he changed his story once again. This time, Malin told detectives that he did indeed...
The next one in...
I couldn't hear
I
it.
said that you ought to be proud of such a talented old man.
Well, I tell you about this entire Rule clan. Now, that includes all of them. All their, of course, you know, everything is hereditary. All our problems are hereditary. We get it from our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids.
I agree with that.
Reverse osmosis or something
Yes,
like that.
that's right. Now, about this entire Rule clan. I was Pansy's favorite son-in-law, or, yeah, son-in-law. Of course, was the only one she had. But I was still the favorite. But this entire clan, through the years, I will have to say, they are absolutely the finest, the greatest,
This is going to create
absolutely fabulous bunch of screwballs I've ever been around.
There's a poison tip on that arrow somewhere.
We're able to absorb all sorts of garbage and survive.
And if you started telling stories, they
That's
would be
like the
absolutely
man
empty.
with a house in his pocket that drank whiskey.
I never saw a bunch that could empty a Model T Ford so quick in my life and find a cupboard
There you go.
50 yards away. That's another story. We won't go into it now.
Well, that was the time before you and Lucy were married,
Yeah.
and you were a little worried because she was short and you wasn't very tall, that the kids would ever amount to anything.
Yeah, but I could run fast.
When we unloaded out of that,
jump pretty good.
when we unloaded out of that dang car with that bomb on it, you didn't have any doubts about whether or not they'd be active.
What he did was put a bomb underneath the hood of our old car.
Those cars go for
when
bombs.
when you didn't have a door on the driver's side and one on the other.
Side curtains all fastened.
Mother and Wallace
7 of them, I
and
think.
Billy and Homer. And I remember who
I'd
else.
leave
Just a one-seated car, I think.
They were all in this car. And when they
And
started it up,
Model T.
you tell the rest of the story, Russell.
He can't tell it. He's laying on the stairs turning blue. What he was doing. I was there. And I'll tell you, I don't think it was over 2.5 or 3 seconds. And 2 of them was across the street behind trees over there. And I was running backwards with Mother north down the street like that. And whoever else was left was behind the tree over here in front of the thing. And then the bomb went off about then. And the worst part about that thing, our hay baler caught fire about 3 or 4 days ahead of that. And I was really, and when that screaming started, and the smoke started coming up out of that hood, you know, I thought, my God, what's going, well, they blew it up when it went off. And I thought when it went bang, I said, it's done whatever it's going to do. And I went back and lifted the hood on the left-hand side of it, and there was those copper wires around my spark plug, and wrapped around something else to ground it, and I knew this damn Christ, you know, had done it.
But I'm still alive.
He's the only one capable of something like that. And we went into the house where Lucy was staying, and Lucy was saying to Pop, well, I told him not to put it on there, you know. And I went in there and he was going, and he couldn't get his breath. The stomach was turning blue laying on the stairway.
I had trouble sleeping last night, getting my breath yet.
And yet I wasn't married.
Well, somebody had to get him out of his misery.
Well, he's an excessive worker. He came out about the first, second date with Lucy Sunday afternoon, and somebody challenged him to run around our grape arbor, which took in about 1/4 of an acre all the way around.
I don't remember
There was no way that this sumbuck was going to lose it. And so he foot raced the whole outfit around that thing and then threw up when he got to the end of it. He exerted himself to the point where he just, everything come apart.
Of course, he'd been a track man in his younger years.
Well,
And
yeah,
it
he
gave
held
the
a
little-
state record for quite a while, didn't you?
No, just out of a high school record.
Very good.
The frogs.
Oh.
I was telling somebody that story. Russell, you tell.
Nobody believes that story.
About the what?
Frogs.
Ernest probably doesn't. He wasn't there. Tell the story about
They
the
went
frog.
frog hunting.
Homer
back to
and
Phillip
Wallace
full of frogs.
and I don't think Phillip was in on that. We went over to a pond a mile or 2 from the farm. Catch bullheads. Oh, he had a minute bucket along, but I don't know why. We didn't have any minutes, I don't remember that. But at any rate, when it's getting close to dark, all we could hear was bullfrogs hollering all around this pond. We had a flashlight. So we decided to give up fishing and catch frogs. Ordinarily, you got a sack or a frog box or something to put them in. All we had was this oval minute bucket, pretty good sized minute bucket. So we started got the first frog in the minute bucket, and Homer was putting the second frog in. He raised the lid, and the first would come out while he was putting the second one in. But we soon learned how you held them in. We had that minute bucket to where you absolutely could not push another frog in there. We drive back to the house. Wallace and Homer kind of giggling. They said they were reading my mind. I don't think they were.
Wallace was telling us, just to interrupt him, and he said, I heard Christ go, like that. Pretty soon he said, and he said, I knew he was up to something.
Now, Cleo, which is Homer's wife, was there, and Ada Mae, was Wallace's wife, was there. And they're both afraid of a nap, or anything that moves. And I thought, boy, oh boy, we're going to take that minute bucket in the house and go home and got it. So I took it in, the lid was shut, couldn't see in it. Said, I want you to all come over here and bend over because you've got to look quick to see what we got. And I opened the lid of this minute bucket. Well, Pansy was pretty skeptical. She didn't get too close. But Homer, Cleo and Ada Mae, they got over fairly close. I popped that lid, and those 18 frogs coming out of there just like popcorn out of a skillet. Ada Mae climbed clear up on the kitchen commode, and somebody up on the kitchen table. I mean, screaming, you never heard it. Well, we finally collected all the frogs we thought. Got them back in the bucket. Got those women calmed down a little bit. The next day, Grandma Pansy goes in the pantry, yeah. Call it closet, but the pantry was in the kitchen. Here with two great big eyes staring at her in the corner. We'd missed one. But that was the best frog hunt I was ever on because the results were great.
From start to finish.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, I want you to...
Everybody, my name is Phillip Rule. I'm the one that they always talk about when any of the rules get together. I live in Monument, New Mexico. My wife, Joyce, a former wagoner from Nashville, Tennessee. And somebody else talk. That's enough out of me.
All right, let's hear from this guy right here. Tell them what you're interested in.
Getting back in swimming pool.
That's a real kid.
That's a real kid. He's in 6th grade and he likes mathematics, spelling, and computers.
And Nintendo.
Okay. You're a regular kid.
A regular kid.
Yeah, it's here from English.
All right. I work 5 days a week at my job. I enjoy what I do. I cook and I waitress. And I like to...
Time's up.
Okay.
John Ross Rule. I'm the oldest son of the original 6 siblings of Pansy and William Hiram Rule. And we live in the woods. We, several years ago, decided to just go to the woods. We've been there 13 years full time, and we wish we'd gone 5 years earlier so we could be 10 years younger. But the kids love to come down there for about 6 hours. They can stand it about that long. It's the only place where I ever woke up with a bird standing on my chest, and without my faithful Indian guide here, I don't believe I can stand it. But with her along, providing lots of good food, and skipping around the kitchen stove, under which was once a 4-foot rattlesnake, which we still have the skin of, why, I can make it. We can kind of get by. As long as I make maple syrup for her in February and milk the cow twice a day. Is that enough?
That's good. Margaret, tell us about your children.
Well, I have 4. The oldest is my son Hardy.
Background music
here. Daughter Heather, my daughter Annie Laurie, and my daughter Maggie. And she makes about 3 of me now, but she's always little Maggie, and I'm big Mag. And, you know, I mean, those things last, but everybody laughs who doesn't know about that particular situation. They come to see us, they bring their children, and everybody comes to Hog Club. It's an experience. And most of the children love it. Nancy's been there with all hers. Wanda came. I went swimming once. Brought her to the bathing suit. There was hardly any water in the creek. It comes and goes. And she was pretty put out because she wasn't able to do anything spectacular in her new suit, sit on the rock. And, you know, variously, Steve stayed with us for a while. It's kind of a haven for people on their way through someplace in life.
Oh, great.
Well, as the looks and the mannerisms expressly say, I'm the 2nd son of Ernest Rule. I was a little more conservative about having a family, so I only ordered a boy and a girl, and that's what we have. My immediate left is the girl. The boy, being boy-like, is wherever he happens to be at this time. And the producer, sitting to my left of my daughter, and she's the one that did all the hard work raising the kids, and I'm the one that's taking all the credit. But I want to clarify to some extent that my mother was the 2nd wife that my dad had, and I have an older brother, which makes me 2nd in line. only older brother by his first wife, John. But is as much of the family as any of the children could ever be, and a good health source of strength. That's other than Greg Rule, which is not here. This is our entire unit. In other words, we have established zero growth. There's 2 people to replace 2 people. So we're not burdening the earth down with more than is necessary.
Okay, let's hear from Gwen. Tell us about all your life. What all you're in.
Well, I just turned 16 years old last March. I'm going to be a junior in high school next year.
Where have you been last week?
I've been at Major at camp last week, which is why I'm sore this week. I'm a major in the band, and my brother's 7 years older than me. And
how about music? You like music?
Yeah, I play the piano for church, and I play the clarinet in band. And I like to write, and I like to twirl and write, and and go driving. Make up for the 16 years I lost.
Okay, Mom, let's hear from you.
Hi, I'm Wanda, and we live in Stubborn, Arkansas, and we're sorry that Greg's not with us today. He had to work yesterday. Greg's 23, and
what about now we got the other one.
Oh, smile.
Ernest. Okay. I'm Ernest's third son. We had John, and then we had Billy, and then we had David, and that's me. And this is my brood, my daughter Shelby, and my wife Lola. Our granddaughter's on her lap. That's Ashley with her finger in her mouth. And then we have my youngest son, Richard. And then we have Richard's wife, Lori, and her daughter. Treasure. Yes, we gotta get Treasure.
Who's mad?
And she's mad. But she's gonna get over it. Now, and so Treasure is my second granddaughter, even though she's older. But she's still number 1. And we all live up in Omaha, Nebraska. And we work, except my daughter. My daughter is living on the East Coast with her husband and in Newport News, Virginia. And we just had to get together some way or another, get our family together here to get some pictures and things so we could pass on to our grandchildren. This is us.
Okay, now who's missing here?
Russell.
Lola, tell us who's missing.
Our son Russell and his wife Jennifer aren't with us. They live in Omaha.
They're on their way.
And Shelby, your husband's name is?
Turn around,
George.
young lady.
George, okay.
Yeah. And he had to work, so he couldn't come.
Okay.
All right.
He'll say, yes, you have my perfect symbol.
Right.
This is it, solid Wally.
You're blocking, Daniel. You're blocking the elder generation.
Take that thing away, Daniel. We don't want
That one,
to
she
take
sat
these
there
ugly
and waited until I looked over there because she knows that.
I'm 38 years old. I was born in Arkansas, in a little town of Stuttgart. I left there shortly after my birth, quick as I could anyway. And I've been in the military and around the world, and now I'm residing in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm an electrostatic painter by profession, and I've had a really wonderful life, and I hope that everyone will have as good a life as I've had.
The camera picks up every little thing. I'm not very large. I'd like to see it pick up me. Hello, and I'm Phillip Rule. And I don't plan to give you very much of a profound statement because I'd like to offset the rest of these very verbal people. So I'll just leave it off right in there somewhere and let them go ahead with the profound. I found mine and it's not very pro. So somebody else thought, oh, don't forget Wallace here. Don't forget my big brother Wallace here. He's just with us here in spirit, as the stone shall speak. Yes, go on over there.
I'm kind of like Lucy. I'm in the middle of 3 boys on one side, 3 on the other. I was abused fairly well. Did most of the dishes, most of the cooking, most of the scrubbing. But I trained them very well. They've all turned out okay. Some of them a little better than okay. I'm proud of myself. I'm Elisabeth Nancy Rule. DeLePaz.
Yay.
I'm not really Elizabeth, but I always wanted to be. And here's Dave.
How old are you?
Oh, that's right, 48. Phillip.
Well, I guess in just years you could put it at about 45, but
yeah.
This is a time when I'm feeling it all. I know I didn't give you very much a while ago, but you're not going to get very much either now. Let's go on over here to Rocky.
Wallace. Who
2
knows?
years older than that, 47.
Yeah, he's older.
I'm David Eugene Rule, and my age is, I hate to say it, but it's a big 5-0. And the reason I don't like to say that is because when I say that, then my dad says, don't say that, it makes me feel old. So I won't say that again. But now, I had a pretty good life here so far. I'm looking forward to a lot more. But primarily I had a military career, and I retired to find out that I wasn't retired. I had to go to work. So I went back to my first profession, and this time I got paid for it. Before, see, I didn't get paid for it, just in a lot of little benefits, like going hunting and fishing and fooling around and in the woods and things like that. So that made up for the monetary things that we didn't get for working. So but at any rate, this time I got paid for it by another person. So I'm also in the painting business. And,
you were serving your apprenticeship.
Yes, I probably would just serve a real good apprenticeship. Working for Dad, he said, son, he said, you got a good hold on that ladder? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, good. He said, I need to borrow this ladder. And he said, I don't want to stop your time until you hit the ground.
Statement, I'm almost speechless, but I'm William Ernest Rule. Seems that my mother was so sick at my birth that she got my dad's name transposed, so fortunately I'm not a junior.
Thank God.
So that relieved me no end upon getting to be a teenager, so somebody wasn't calling me a junior. But I've worked at various things that my dad taught me and other people taught me. Having learned at an early age from Dad that a person that can walk and chew gum can also do 2 other things as well. So it's not necessarily true that you can be a jack of all trades and master of none. But at any rate, I'm now 52 years old, and for a great part of my young life I was called David, because David was so much near my size that they called him Billy, and they called me David, so I'll answer to either name.
We both came pretty good.
Born 10, and by dint of grace, we might live longer. And having reached 52 years of age, if my mathematics is correct, I'm down to about 18 years of promise. And then any grace that might come forward. It seems that as the 18 years wind back, I try to think of some things that I can do good to maybe get a little of that grace. On to my big brother.
Now the reason that Dave and Bill can exchange names is that they were like the Cats and Jammer kids when they were at that stage, and it's pretty hard to tell them apart because they were moving so fast. But I'm John Ross Rule. I'm 59, and I think that as far as making any profound sort of statement, I don't believe I can do that. I don't think I can give any advice to anyone, but maybe an attitude or two. Find something good that you like to do and that's not destructive and that you think is maybe a quality thing to do, and stay with it. And that's about all for that. We went back profoundly deep in the woods to try to live a quality life, and we think we've done it. We've been very happy with it, and we love to have good people come to see us, and that's one of the big things we miss. But we do a lot of things that we really enjoy. The most profound person here, whom I saw profoundly diving from a cliff at the age of 4 into the Blue River in southern Missouri and retrieving a turtle this big for us to eat for supper that night.
I carried 42 eggs, and I had to eat all the eggs. Nobody eat the eggs. Well, there's enough profound went around here that I'm speechless.
What do you?
First time he's ever been speechless.
Well, you say so.
What do you have to say about this group of kids?
Oh, I have the one statement that I carried for years. Whether that's good or bad or modest or immodest, I don't know. But since they had the mother they had, and I was lucky enough to have the parents I had, and the clean living life that they seemed to live, I would have put my family bodily or mentally against anybody in the town of Ottawa, Kansas, or Stuttgart, Arkansas, or anywhere. Match them against any family for any kind of work. So that meant I was proud of them. Our physical bodies don't stay with us too long, but it's nice to have clean ones. There's one or two things, I guess. History repeats itself. It's a good idea to only believe half of what you see and nothing you hear can cause you trouble. And be modest in everything you do. Go down the middle of the road, you won't be likely to get any rich. If you'll do that. And I do believe that if you let any one thing take over your mind and body, you'll never live to reach the maximum age of Bob's You just won't do it because worldly worries will kill you.
That doesn't apply to fishing.
Your life's extended for, I think, every day that you get to fish for free.
If you could fish every day, you can reach immortality.
Family being modest
is the most important thing in life.
That's not being
you
modest.
have it, you have the greatest treasure that has ever been.
Because you're prettier than I am inside and out.
What a lovely compliment. But you know, our generation passed that on to you. I have observed since I've been here that it has improved with each generation. So there, this has been the most wonderful, something that will be recorded in your love and your children and your grandchildren, probably your great-grandchildren.
We never realized what roots mean to us until we began to get older.
Why don't you holler back there and tell them to shush so they can hear her?
We don't really appreciate what roots mean to us until we get older, and all of a sudden it helps you turn a corner in your growth. And I was telling Elisabeth that the last reunion where I spoke with some of Daddy's brothers, and I made some remarks about my mother, and they just jumped right on me and told me about Mama's life when I didn't know. And I got such a totally different view, and a lot of the pain just left.
This is what I was telling your brothers a while ago. I said, you know, one of the wonderful things about family reunions, and keep it lots of it to your immediate family, is you sit around and you laugh about the things that were the hurts, the embarrassments, and the misunderstandings as you grew up. And then you make a turnover from one era of maturity in your life to another one. And here's the grandkids, like this one sitting over here, that listens, and all at once they realize, Grandma and Grandpa had that imp in them at my same age, but they matured and developed into responsible people. And so they get much benefit from it. At the same time, all of you get to clear the air, and you get lots of laughs. Because along with it go all the dumb things.
Like locking keys in the car.
Yeah, you'll probably remember about locking the keys in the car.
He's going to make up the room.
There's one serious bone in his body.
And that's another one of those.
Always appreciate that, Elizabeth. That's part of it, of life being.
He's my counterbalance.
That's right. Russell is my counterbalance. I could just shoot him sometimes, but I need him. Put it that way.
Isn't that funny? You know, we can bitch about them and complain about them, but they are necessary. Of course, the thing that really makes Nancy and I special is I'm the only girl in a bunch of boys, and she is the only girl in a bunch of boys. And so I suppose you could say we had it. It's
either good and bad.
It's an honored position, believe me, because you have a lot of protectors, and you certainly get to know men from the ground up. So, you know, we don't, I chose a good husband, she chose a good husband, I think, because of that very fact, being raised with a bunch of boys.
You aren't afraid of them, but you understand them better, and you tolerate them better, and you don't love them anymore, but at least you understand their idiosyncrasies.
Yeah. And you feel a little more protected towards your male children and your husband because of that early raised.
That's enough for us to tell you now. Thank you, dear.
Rule, DeLePaz. We live in Key West, Florida. I'm 48, born October 4th, 1940. 1940. I was born 42. We have 3 children. They'll introduce themselves.
Dear DeLePaz, 9 years old. Going 4th grade.
Anything else you want to say? Are you having fun?
Come down to see us.
Okay.
I'm Daniel DeLePaz. I'm 11 years old. I'll be going into 7th grade next year. I live in Key West, Florida. Born there, and my birthday was September 28th, 1977.
Any other wise words for us?
You're fighting for no drugs in your life and in your friends. Say something to our cousins about that.
I should have got that on film last night. Okay.
Reinaldo DeLePaz. I'm Reinaldo DeLePaz. My nickname is Doobee. And I'm 17 years old. I'm in the 12th grade. I go to school at Key West High School. I graduate in 1990. And I have to say, although most of the rules are pretty good, I'm the first perfection we've had.
Love it.
He means it too.
I love it. And what's your plans when you graduate?
I want to be a psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist. We all could use one.
I've seen
Okay, Dad.
I'm Reinaldo, DeLePaz Senior, and Nancy's husband, and these three guys' father, and I've managed to survive 29 years in marriage to a rule. And this is the first reunion I've ever been to, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And this is my day, W. And I'm in Omaha now. And, well, actually not. Actually, I'm at a reunion of the E.W. Rule family and other members of the Rule family in general. And I'm the youngest of our family. And my dad here wants to say something to end this tape.
How old are you, Steve?
I'm 38.
38. I'm 82. For 5 days. And if you need some advice, that's what I can give you. I can't give you money at all, but I can give you some advice. If you'll study it and study it careful, go to Mother Nature. She's handled all her animals and trees. And you have a problem, if you'll study it, you'll find a place that Mother Nature will answer what she does about a similar problem. And later on, I can go out, and if you come to me, I'll tell you how that finally came to me to let Mother Nature solve your problems in life. All of them.
Teenage vernacular, we're going to chill out. We're going to kick back, cool off. Not going to be a pity here. We're going to remain steady state. We're going to carry this ordinary program stuff first. We're going to have the eulogy here. I really like that. I don't really know what that means. What I think it means is we're going to brag a little bit on Dad, and we're going to I'm going to tell a tale and hope you get as much fun out of it as I have experienced it. About this kind of a day, in the early spring, when the leaves were about that long, most of the buds had opened up. It was drizzling and foggy and muddy, and the ground was rotten. And Dad had a, depending on how it looked at, a good or bad habit, mixing pleasure with responsibility. You know, we got 3 necessary things for life: food, shelter, and raiment. I believe he'd almost go around naked and live underneath a brush pile before he goes without food. I think that was true. We were out riding around one day, coming back, I think, from looking at a job, but I'm not sure. He's great handed to get in the car and start to say, well, we're going to go. And the first part of the trip is a blank in my mind. I do know that we were somewhere out close to Preston Street, and we were headed back to camp. It started drizzling lightly, but the air was sweet as the sweetest perfume, and the leaves were that long. You could already feel the urge to do something. So he said, let's drive down here to this Idecker's house and walk down in the woods and look at the roof. I said, okay, let's go. This is kid. I didn't have a brave family. I was a kid, you know, I was being raised. Instead of working, we went down in the woods, we parked up there, we got there, and walked down there. The leaves were white and birds, old cardinal redbirds were singing. Walked on down to the lagoon. It was as muddy as a lagoon. I believe if you could throw a little aluminum paint on top of it, you'd have made a mirror out of it. The background was so dark. Well, it was raining when we got out of the truck. So Dad pushed one of those old Army field jackets on me. Just the wet. He said, here, slap one of them big old hats down and come down over my eyes. I had to push it back to see out from under. And we walked on down there,
bunch of plum thickets, wild plum thickets. He got the feeling around his pocket and said, Daddy, what are you looking for? Oh, he said, I just, being it was here, he said, I thought we might see if we could catch a fish. I said, Daddy, you can't catch no fish in that mud. I said, that's almost 90% mud. Oh, he said, it won't hurt nothing to try, but I said, you ain't got any fishing pole in there. He said, it don't matter. So he fished around and he found some ordinary cotton string. And he found a crappie hook. Isn't that amazing? Ernest Rule would have a cotton string and a crappie hook in his pocket. I said, Dad, what are you going to fish with for bait? I said, this is just coming out of winter. There's no bait. Oh, yes, sir. He said, this little clear stream coming down there, this runoff. He said, you go over and look, see if you can't see some shiners in it. Well, as it washed down across the land, it washed all the dirt away from the roof, and it left pockets in the bottom of the ditch. Sure enough, some shiners had come up in that clear water, and they were more or less trapped in them pockets of roof. So he put me going over there and taking my hand and slapping that water out on them leaves and shiners with it. There they were out there, slipping and slopping on the leaves. He crawled. Now this is not a made-up tale. He crawled through that thicket, waded through the thicket, kneeled down in his canvas hunting pants in the mud on the point of that little peninsula with that shiner, and we filled up both the field jackets, the big pockets, the slab pockets. What he'd do is he'd take the minnow and chunk it out in the muddy water, and it would, the minnow still was moist and alive, and it would float downstream till it hit the clear water. Well, when it hit the clear water, the fish could see it. They were hiding right there waiting for anything to come out of that clear water anyway. That didn't do it. He threw it in the muddy water and let it drift over into the clear water. Before he got through that clear water, that property had it. Lord of mercy. Here he went, and what I thought was wasting time, and we had one of the best feasts for supper that night you ever laid a lip on, because it's been winter and we didn't have any fish. This was the first fish in the spring, and they stayed bit beautiful. All right, here's what put it into it. We had nearly all the pockets full. I said, Dad, I don't know where we're going to put any more fish. He said, well, I could string it up on this string if I had to, just lay them out there in another spot. But that didn't happen. Easing on up there, keep in mind the leaves were that long, so it was pretty warm. I was easing on up there trying to get him one more minute because I about exhausted Little Stream's minnow supply. And I was getting ready to hit one. I saw one. I was getting ready to splash him out on there, and something caught my eye. It was the movement of a big old cottonmouth, all coiled up, just ready to get me. And I said, Dad, that's enough for me. And he walked over and looked at it after I told him what happened. He said, that is a big rascal, isn't it? He said, I think it's time to go. He said, we got enough. And home we went. Now that's all of you is the bragging that I'm going to do. But this was another instance of Dad combining what was a responsibility, something for us to eat, with his love of nature, love of fishing, and love of hunting. Anybody else want to speak? By the way, before I get it, I need to make this announcement. Anybody that's hungry, I'm not going to have slab prices, but anybody that's hungry, we're going to have church dinner out of the church. There's lots of tables and plenty of room. I mean, these guys are taking time out of their life to help us with that. It's free to come to God's food. We're already fed enough.
Thank you. Wait. You and Johnny have done a wonderful job. I want to be where I can see the eyes of these fellows here, because they can tell a lot more stories about life than I can. I started hunting with him a good deal over 50 years ago. His sister and I have been married for a little over 56 years. I think I even got some certainly put an environment in it that Ernest Rule loved. I know of nothing that he ever did in his life, I don't think any of you believe it, that he ever did anything to damage or endanger the environment of this beautiful land of ours. Yes, I watched him shoot a rabbit on the run at 100 to 150 yards through the eye, through the head. He didn't mess with it through the body. He didn't do that. Right. The 6 brothers and I on the quail hunt out of the farm. We got checking guns, and he had 6 shotguns. 2 of them, I think, were 4 times each. But I'll take the rifle. I'll get as many quail with the rifle as you can probably do with a shotgun. You know, a few things you can believe, a few things you don't believe. He said, now you 3 go over on this side of the hedgerow. We pick hedgerows that curve. Not hedgerows, but then. Well, I'll go with the 4 on this side. Now you let me go ahead. You fellas all stay back. If you see me get down like that, he's the best bird dog you could ever have. You know that. He says, you just all stop. All right. He stopped suddenly. Right. Got this right. Came. Quail come out both sides. We emptied our guns above the head. Got a few quail. He went in, picked 3 quail. He lined 3 of them up. Got with the rifle.
That's dirty food.
Maybe that's for the environment. With a rifle, I don't know. I fished with it on the White River after those big alligator gar. We didn't have much left, so we got 1 or 2. He took me someplace within my boat. I don't know where. You fellas know, probably up the river. We went through a real narrow chute, 1/4 of a mile or maybe further, back in the most beautiful bios, cyclist bios, or rivers I've ever seen. He said, no, we're really going to get fish here. But it wasn't that day. Or she was. Okay, I don't know. We never hit a bite. Maybe one of you boys was along. Okay. Never got a fish, but still was one of the most beautiful fishing trips of it. The point I want to make about Ernest, I don't think he had very many faults for somebody who was innovative. He loved this country. He loved what nature did. He loved what God had done for this universe and this country. And I think, definitely, I know he was a true environmentalist. He left this country, this area, wherever he was, a better state than when he started with it. Just 2 months ago, approximately, he was in Kansas, feeling pretty good. After he had his spell up in Nebraska. He said, Russ, just as quick as the weather opens up, I'll be up to Kansas, up to Iowa. We're going crappie and bass fishing. He's not going to make it. But every time I go, I'm going to be thankful to God. Now, his name is Rule. And I think he definitely lived by the golden rule.
Anyone else? I'd like to say this. I've known Lightning a long time. I never knew him say an unkind word about anybody. Now, he's talking about him being pessimistic. He was, because he told me he's going to plow up that 12 acres. You kids are going to raise vegetables. You sure never did do it. Anyone else? Speak on, Joe.
Well, I'm going to let most of these older folks, be respectful when I'm talking first, but I like to talk. Nobody stand up to Mr. Spicer. So, you know, I know where Lightning got that gift of gab he had. It was in the fence, because if you get around these boys, they'll talk you dead. He had to talk just to keep letting him in. But, of course, Lightning, he didn't care who he went hunting with. If you want to go hunting, you love to hunt, man, he'd come by and pick you up and you'd go hunting. You know, and I was just a little kid when I first started hunting. And, boy, he taught me more about hunting, you know, that I ever dreamed existed. And I'll never forget something like in the tale you used to tell, you come over the house. You had a little chicken walk. You ever seen chicken walk? used to entertain us, you know, and my dad was busted up back, you know, years ago. And he'd come by there and load him in the, pick him up, help him out the door, and load him in the car.
Such a little fellow picking up such a big one.
He'd load him in the car, and they'd load the boat up on top of the roof, and they'd go out. He'd load him, load the boat out, load all the stuff out, pack him and everything, load that in the boat, take it. Then he'd load him all back up again, and they did that regular, you know, they'd catch brim. We would fill up, they'd fill tow sacks, they used tow sacks, put the fish in, because there wasn't enough stringers to put all the brim they'd catch. And then we put wash tubs in the backyard, and we sat there and cleaned brim for, gosh, a long time. This wasn't no filleting stuff either, you know, we cleaned with the brim. And we cleaned thousands of brim in that backyard. But it was wonderful experiences, and I don't guess I'll ever forget all the we could sit and talk about it all day. That's like that.
Interesting. You guys want to feel free in your own words. No one else wants to speak. I'd like to all stand. I'm going to give a prayer of commitment, and I'm going to pray that we'll be happy if he has both lived and passed, and that we can emulate some of his actions. Father in heaven, we thank thee for this life. We thank thee for the good in it. We thank thee for the caring that was in it, the responsibility. Father, we even thank thee for the weaknesses in it, because we learn from our mistakes and from others. Most of all, Father, we pray that you'll help us to overcome any sense of loss because of his passing. That an era has passed, a time has passed, and that, like him, we're changing forms. Help us to change forms to the better because of him. Forgive us of our shortcomings, our failings. Help us to learn from it. In Jesus' name we pray.
Like,
mother and our example in life. And I really don't know what we'll do from this point on for a guide, a rock, but I'll probably look for the rest of these guys to provide that very thing, at least for me, because I'm the baby, and I want them to be there for me. If anything good within the memory of the Rule family, it was put there by Ernest Rule. If it wasn't, the example that led to that instinct to human kindness that we may or may not have did come to him. Now that he's gone, we've got to be the example for our children. If we can't continue what he started.
I think we just planted Papa, and I think a lot of us sprouts will probably grow and have a few leaves and vines just about like Dad and like all of our other uncles and aunts.
She doesn't want to talk right now.
Short, Nancy, but short, but not just absent.
Dad and I was out doing a little hunting and fishing together.
Yeah.
And he says, well, David, he said, David, it's getting a little bit late in the evening. He said, it's getting awful close to time to come home, go home. He said, no. We talked later, he said, we're out of bait. So it's time to go, he said. So we better pick our tools up and get on in there before it gets dark. Well, he's out on this time.
Yep.
About Dad because I've loved him all my life and he knew it. But
that's well put.
I'm going to say now what I said to the first person that I called to inform them that Dad had passed. Today, a good little man left the world.
was that Billy had wanted to have the funeral down here in Stuttgart, and I kind of thought that he should be taken up to Kansas with his mother and the family and all. And I'm very glad that he did talk us into this. He has been surrounded by people who loved him and knew him. And without Bill's church and his friends and a really nice town of people, it wouldn't have been as easy.
That's great.
That's good.
And
There we go. Ernest W. Lightning Rule.
What's her date? April 3rd, 73 or 75.
That was from the grandchildren there, and that was from Lucy
75.
and Russell and Kay and Dick.
19 and 2. Scott, I didn't realize she's that much older.
Was she a lot older? I didn't.
Here, you want to get up on here where I am? You want to get a look at that?
Here's a good spot right here on the grass.
Overbalance. No, that's good.
Well, not a lot. But that corner of the cemetery, right up here now.
She knew what she did. She was riding.
She's trying to. Are you running? Too bad you didn't. Too bad you didn't get the Wichita seed.
She was writing in the Tyler paper when I went down there. She was writing a column every day in the Tyler paper.
Way.
Well, I don't know, wherever it was
She was a
outstanding
newspaper
thing.
reporter, and she
Yeah.
did a column.
And I was out to her mother's house, very nice antique furniture, very beautiful. Out to her brother's place, a nice big farm with a room twice as big as this with radio stuff. He picked it up from all over the world and talked to the...
Whatever happened, though, to her family? Did they ever help her?
Well, I mean, it just went like that, I think, under the circumstances. They really didn't know much about any of that. I told them things they didn't know. That Phillip, I said, did you know your grandmother? He said, I never did see the woman. I said, I've been in her house. I said, a big, square, 2.5-story house. And I told him about how big the room was and the tables and the Negro women that helped her for to get the meals ready and served them and what they looked like. There'd be a meal on this end of the table, a meal on that one, like that, on all three of them tables. You walked around them after you washed up, see what kind of a meal you wanted to eat, and sit down there if they had room. If there wasn't, you had to take something else.
Of course, I never did know that part of it. I mean, I knew Ida.
Time I was down
She
there.
was a solemn woman. Not much
But
talk to
Ida
her.
was a
And
worker.
pretty fair, not big, but pretty fair.
Real worker, but she didn't like to take care of the house. But when canning time come, she had one of these
Irish washer
canning things, metal cans, metal deals, and they love black-eyed peas. That's the reason I ordered some tonight. And she'd take those and scared me to death at first. She'd take those out, wash those things, and seal them in the cans. Seal them. And then put them in the pressure cooker and cook them. When they come out of there, the lid was going, like that. I thought it was going to blow. She slid, listen, that bed underneath, listen, no, I'm telling you the truth. And she'd slide them under the bed, and that hole underneath that bed was all cans of black-eyed peas. Really?
Be an awful lot of peas.
Well, hey, that's a lot of them. And because all the meals was, Ernest brought 4 or 5 loaves of bread, 2 or 3 gallons of milk for the kids.
I suppose they had
and
tomatoes
black-eyed
and peas.
peas. Black-eyed peas.
Tomatoes and peas.
Yeah.
Well, they always had a big garden.
Now, but the thing was, they never had a big old lot of this, that, the other thing. Milk, bread, black-eyed peas.
Of course, now
That's about it. See?
peas and beans are coming to their fore.
And their protein meat substitute.
Sell her short.
Don't you sell her short for brains, because she was a smart chicken.
Well,
I'll
there's
tell you
nothing
this.
wrong with
The only
the
thing
brains
is,
of
she
the
just
kids.
didn't like to do one thing, and so she just said, I'm going to fool with it. And of course, Ernest would come in and clean it up, and she didn't like that. She just lay there on the bed.
Well, I can remember that woman standing over that fire outside cooking. Nobody said anything. She says, castrate all of them black son of a bucks and turn these white guys in on them black women, that whole thing will disappear in about 20 years. That's exactly what she said.
She would never
That
made
whole
it
thing
in
will
the government
disappear.
institution.
The whole thing will disappear in about 20 years.
Well, it's not like it is now. When I walk down the streets of Tyler or Overton or Kilgore, and a black man or girl or kid come toward me on the sidewalk, they got off in the grass.
Except on their side of the street Saturday.
Well,
You could
I
not
don't know
get
about
through there.
I don't know
On their
why
side
I'm
of the
not,
square.
I don't know about the Saturday, but
I know about it.
that happened down there. I mean, I was there for a year. I know Audrey for about 2.5 years. And I said, now, do I really love this girl? And I evaluated all the things that had happened that I knew of before and what had taken the people and men and women, separations and all this stuff. And I said, okay, I'm going to go away for a year. And Ernest said, come down, got a job for you, come down. So I went down there and stayed with him for a year. And I carried papers. He tried to get me to paint oil derricks. I couldn't do that. And all these other things. We even opened a restaurant for all that. She was a chief cook and bottle washer.
You mean Ida?
Ida. A restaurant in a little town. And so then when I decided that I loved the woman that I had left, I turned around and come home, but she had written me a letter, said, you better come home or you're not going to get me, buddy.
That's one way of doing it.
And so I came home and we got married in 39.
Well, when did you went to college, though? Out of high school before that.
I went to college for about 8 weeks.
I didn't remember, but you stayed at our house and
Nah, I moved over into that basement thing with Eldon Olmsted.
Yeah. I know, but you were at our house first.
Huh?
You stayed at our house first.
Oh, I know, for 2 years. I don't know how you ever put up with it. But anyway.
Wouldn't have if you hadn't gone frog hunting with me.
But
well,
anyway,
I knew that you went to college and stayed with
I
us.
tried it. And of course, they're doing everything for me. This fellow down here, that all the car washing, he gave me all the money. He never took it. But anyway, I couldn't pay for a room or pay for the college, and wasn't brains enough to. So I quit. And then I quit, and let's see what did I do. I must have went down with Ernest.
I was going to say, it had to have been
I
after
don't
that.
remember you doing that.
Well, I sure did. I know I went down there.
Whatever happened to Eldon Olmsted?
Oh, he went on as a minister, and I listened to him preach in Wichita 5, 6 years ago. He, up near Kansas City, he had a church. So forth. Yeah. But he listen, I was no match for him. Now the boy that had the car, that they had the dime store, I can't think of his name. Rickenbacker. He was my buddy because he had the car, he had the money, and let's see, there was some other thing, I forget which he was. But Eldon Olmsted, and so I had to work transportation and all these kind of things, see. And but Eldon Olmsted had a photogenic mind, kind of like I used to think Russell used to have.
He used to have. I like
photographic, not photogenic.
Well,
we could put another name on it.
You're sure that wasn't pornographic?
You mean
but
porno?
Anyway, you know, he even took me a time or two to these classes where he was teaching it. Oh, what else?
That was way in the 50s.
Surrogate scholar?
Yeah, I don't care whether that's in the 50s or not. I still went with you. And
go to prison with me?
And no, I didn't go to prison with you. And when it was over, why he says, and he even says, now here's my something brother-in-law, whatever they call me. and
That's probably not describable.
He'll probably have.
Don't put it on the coffee one day.
He said he'll have something to say, I'm sure. And I stood up and I said, I remember this. I said, Christ, almost you persuade me to take this class.
I have no recollection of that.
Oh, no.
And before all these high-powered, brain-filled people that he'd been, he put these numbers on the board, you know, and they tangle them around and stuff, and he'd remember them. And I don't know whether he had them written in the palm of his hand or what was going on.
He really should have been a magician, you know that.
Just going number stuff. He said I caught 31 feet.
It's either Lions Club or he formed a club in their town, or he taught Dale Carnegie, or
Dale
now
Carnegie,
he's running it
that's
to the next generation.
Well, you see, the only problem with
That's
me
our
was
fucking
my
associates
brain, they left out something because I don't remember anything. Of course, now I did remember better before the skull was cracked. But after the skull's cracked, there's a growth back there that stops that hormones from working up there that is on the side where you remember.
Well, the average person only uses 10% of their mental natural ability, but you're probably only using about 2% now.
No,
since that cracked skull.
Where them drywall.
It's kind of like this guy took his kid, the parents would take the kids to see about joining the Boy Scouts. The scoutmaster got up and went on and on what the scouts would do. So listen, there's any boy in this room. But what would they go through the scouts? They could they could be president of the United States. And this one father jumped up and said, yep, just a chance they'd have to take.
The business and all the other things, all the brains that it took to remember 5,550 stories.
How do you remember how many? How do you remember how many?
I kept track of them.
Well, it's 240 more than how long a mile is.
All you have to do is name a subject, and especially if he's in fine battle. And now they're getting pretty old. They're good at it.
But there's no such thing, absolutely no such thing as an old story. I don't need any new stories. I just need new people.
we didn't do anything but come home and sit around a room, and he and a couple of other fellows that were district men told the stories they remember, and we laughed. The last night he did his usual stunt that he does. We had such a good time.
One gal with a beautiful red head from Kentucky.
I do remember that.
She says, you know, this friendship of we four couples has just been great and just met. None of us had known each other till we met them. Got on the same plane in Atlanta. Rode in the same limousine from the airport to the hotel. She says, we just can't let this drop. She says, I'm not good at writing letters. I wouldn't ask somebody else to. Christmas cards don't mean anything. And so somebody says, well, what's this? It's October. Says, why don't we exchange Christmas gifts and draw names? Okay. So I had the paper and kind of snake at the some guy had a hat. I said, we'll just go around and we'll just put everybody's name in the hat. Now, if you should have to get your own husband or wife, like on another one, because that wouldn't be any fun. Just keep it quiet who you have, and then it'd be a real surprise. So I had a hat, and he passed them around after I had asked them how they spelled their name for sure, and get their address and everything. Put it on every one around. She drew last. Boy, as I go around, said, oh boy, have I got a name. I'm going to have fun with this.
He loved the comments.
You can't have a better name than I got, you know. She drew last. She looked at me and I just shook her head. She said, I got my own husband. They said, you can't have. I've got his name. Every one of them. Every one. They put me down on the floor. They put the mattress on top of me and jumped up and down on me.
He's been doing that sort of stuff.
He's been doing that kind of
And
stuff
that
for
could
a
have
long
just
time.
absolutely been great if she'd have just kept still.
I can see already
back to
gonna
the
hit
bomb
the
in
fan.
the car.
When she got the name, it's gonna be it.
Well, you know, when they got home, somebody tell them, then it wasn't half as much fun as it was that night.
I didn't
Everybody
think it was
was laughing.
And I think it wasn't too long after I'd seen Bill. I don't remember the circumstances, but anyway, it was about Bill and I. And some way, I don't know whether it was the same wreck or what, but we both arrived for the gate at the same time. He's just a little ahead of me. And he'd gone on in. St. Peter said, well, that your record has got a few blemishes on it, but we're going to let you in. So now you understand that we issue you a new life. I go, so he rang his computer button, the door opened over here, Here come this gal out there, absolutely the ugliest, homeliest one woman that anybody could ever imagine. But St. Peter said, you mean that to be my new wife? Yes. You must pay for your sins while you were on earth, and that's your penalty. Oh my, about that time I saw you down there ahead with a good-looking babe on his arm, and just a dog going down the street. I said, wait a minute, I know him, he's a...
I can see you right here. Ready? Here.
Good to see you. Where's the better? Oh, there's some more.
At least she was looking at me. Fred. Young's doing a good job. Hi, guys. Hi. What's your name? Everybody's looking here, eyes open now. What's that? Next, this is like an assembly line. She's a good choreographer. Oh, we don't need that. Ready? Here we go. That's all we need. Thank you.
He's built solid.
All blame turkey. That's all he thinks of.
Well, I can hear my friend.
Sober usually
Sat there in his high chair and he just looked at everybody and ate sausage and gravy.
Hey, with the last Saturday night, they was gone. We went to the ostrich farm.
Son, come up here and bring great grandson with you. I'll shake your hand.
Wow.
Yeah, this is an important one. Hey, Brian, look here now. Grandpa, look right at me. Okay, here we go. Let me do one more of that. I want to be sure to get a decent one. Brian. Hey, Brian. Brian. Look here. Ready, set, go. That one's good.
Yeah. And he felt tickled because he had already got a kiss from the bride.
Good.
Yeah, pretty much.
You did have
No, but I mean, you know, the next one would slide under, like this.
One's got to slide over, one slides under.
Yeah, but here and here.
How do you know?
And the next one has that, the next one has that.
Is it crinkled?
How old are you?
I've never seen anybody who had eyebrows that... Can you turn it this way? Judy wants to say something. Are you going to show her this? Hi, Ruby, Ruby.
Anybody can do it, you can.
Type of glue.
I mean, that's true.
Type of thing you're talking about.
I said, when you told me about Ruth, I got this way and then I thought,
Thing that
if anybody
I never
knows Ruth,
see
she can.
that causes the trouble.
With the help of the Lord.
Contracting and expansion.
Well, I knew that she was a Christian or she was, it's going to be harder to make it through there because they don't have a good attitude. Is that audio? Are you going to eat that poppy seed too? Okay. I haven't had to do that this morning. Did you know that Jeannie and Kim showed up last luncheon in the same dress? The only thing they were homemade color. They were homemade. And they are going to try it again. They're planning the next one. They planned it, they just didn't tell us. We just told everybody we were right. Actually, I left Kim's comment that I was going to show up. Oh, I did too. Yeah. I made the dresses. You see, they had Sarah Reese on there, and it was very likely somebody could have made dresses to wear to a wedding on Saturday.
But this his outfit coming near to fixing it.
Did he finally put one on his finger?
Look out there. Look at the camera. Say hi. Hi. Wave at them.
You gonna dance for her?
You
dance for her?
Yes. If I'd have had my camera last night, I would have got pictures of him. Can't you come run? Why don't you come run for me?
You gonna go out in the grass? Grass?
Candace, you're on me.
Yeah, be careful, big step.
But that would be
Okay.
Hey,
Come this
I
way.
don't have any pictures of you.
Come this way.
Hi. Hey, big boy.
Carl, you ought to film that too. Look at the girl.
I know.
Who's gonna pull that big girl?
This is Brian.
Let's see. Keep this on film. It's gonna be good. That's hard ball, isn't it? There might be a lighter one in there. Well, see, Brian found that in a hallway, so I think it's Jason's. I think it's Jason's basement. They're playing catch.
Brian, don't want to go play catch with the girl?
There's great grandma.
Come here, Brian. You can play. We'll get it from him.
Don't lick the ball. He's licking it. Don't lick it. You let me lick that.
Now, you can't take away from nothing. You get those papers. Show it to me. Show it to me. Go to kick up.
No, Emily.
That's all right. Turn on. Come up.
Am I getting in your way?
She had it first.
That's all right. You share it. You know about that story.
I'll play with him.
Oh, you get it and throw it to him. You throw it to him. Make it play ball.
All part of it, is it?
Yes, I have to have this to take home or I'll be in trouble. Natalie, how old are you?
I'm 16.
15. Yeah, Fred.
How many people have a home video
Good
video
point.
glimpse at 100 feet?
Bye. 311 South Branson. Okay, yeah, that's what I said before. Okay. 311 South.
You, Emily. Eddie?
That's it. You did it. That was better. That was better. Yeah, not her face is bad.
Hey, this feels better out here anyway.
Yeah, the breeze here.
Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got one more anyway.
Did you keep the kids
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, that's okay. I just
in and out.
want Jim Rule.
Well, it's just one more big wedding after another.
Oh, no. Check out the shoes. Tell her about your shoes.
Oh, yes. These are the wrong shoes.
They're the wrong shoes,
But there's a pair similar to this that I wore to Jennifer's wedding, that I wore 30 years ago to Tom and Judy's wedding.
Right, and he's not polished them yet. Same shoestrings.
Same shoestrings even.
It's not these, they were black.
Different shoes.
Oh,
Different
okay.
shoes.
Are we talking a large family?
Is that the most you're going to say?
That's my profound, well, I'm the oldest in this family.
Oh, yeah. Tell me how old you are. I forgot.
I'm 51. I only look 30, but I'm 51. How old's Jim?
46.
46.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
Kim.
I'm 30.
I'm Kim. I'm 35. I'm the youngest. I've had 5 sets of parents my whole life.
True.
There's a profound
There's
statement.
profound. There's
Profound.
profound.
And I don't know whether I'm the oldest or the youngest or somewhere in the middle. Like, kind of.
I'm the mother, and I'm just 65, so.
She had us young. That made her 14 when she had me.
I told him already I was going to lie about my age, so it's okay.
You want me to say what year you were born?
No, you're not. I'm the mother.
That's profound.
The sunny side?
This is the great
That
mother.
side.
If I make it funny.
Okay, Fred.
My profound statement. Well, you can tell by looking at me, I'm different than the rest of these. As a matter of fact, I one time had papers that said I was black and adopted. And they changed that, and it cost me a lot of money in my life. Had I still had them, things would have been a lot better for me.
How old are you?
Female, really got it. Well, that's true.
How old are you?
Oh,
How old do you think
50.
you are?
He's 50.
50, yeah.
Okay.
Going on 29.
Okay, Janet.
I'm Janet. I'm 49. I don't look it. I don't feel it. I never will. I'm the middle child. I'm the middle girl. I wouldn't trade places with any of them. The most profound thing I could say, as I get older, I see too many people's viewpoints of a problem, and it drives me crazy because I think mine's the best, and they won't use it.
Oh, God. All right, Dad, you're
I'm
last.
the old man, and I'm almost 80 now, but I really don't ever expect to be 80. But I'm like Charlie McMillan. I'm glad I was here.
I'm glad
And the big worry that I have left is, do I have to buy a new suit for one of these dang things?
Take your glasses off a minute. I want to see the whites of your eyes.
The real you, John.
Yeah, got a little scar on my retina and my right eye, but
We don't care about you don't care right. It's unblemished.
We don't know
Won't show up on the video.
Okay, you guys. That's great.
That's enough.
South countries from France. Here is the and by the way, this is the largest African nation in the continent.
I need to take a picture of him rolling over.
The Trinity Broadcasting Network of Africa. Dear Mr. Director, this is from NGO, Ngongo Kamanda, Ambassador for the Ministry of Communications. The official one with the stamp of the nation in the French version here. Somewhere there, the ambassador. Pull back just a little bit, Mr. Cameraman. There's the seal. This is a fax copy. The original is on the way. Dear Mr. Director, I am honored to confirm the reception of your letter dated May 13th, in which you handed over the
You know, Mother was Steve.
received religious programs from TVN for immediate broadcasting on Zairian national television.
Look at that.
I was written up in one of the most important collector's magazines.
Oh, really? It must have taken you a long time to find all these things.
Oh, I've got nothing but time. He's so busy building giants.
Okay, this is Roger with his present,
And my present.
which is going to make John lots of money. Is that right? These are
birthday presents.
the birthday boys.
This week he enjoys it. Next week when he has to do this again.
Whoa!
Is that a good one, Art Debbie?
Looks nice to me.
Lauren, you need your shoes on.
I'm not going to you hold this so I don't get my fingers this time. Now you take this thing off.
Thing lifts up in the bag.
Yeah, we have a grass catcher.
What is that? Is that a
That's a grass catcher. Yeah, we have the bag.
When you have the bag. With this slant, with the slant that's got and all of this here raised in the air, let's move this like an international speaker. That's about what they're.
This is the tetherball game that Matt
The video with Matt there.
gave to John.
No.
Matt, what's your last name?
Taylor.
Taylor. We really ought to have that on tape.
No, you better not put it on him. He'll just walk away.
He doesn't like to be on that. Just Jennifer doesn't mind. What? Is it on? Nah, it's not on, John. What is it on?
Good. Well, I'll spike it. Our bill and that's in the floor.
You get that one? They're building something. I didn't get the end. They're going to fix the feather ball. Walking, Kathy, in your picture. You'll be in the movie. I think the ball is too long.
I can't remember her last name. Corey.
I'm not sure, but I think have you been?
Nice to see you. You count to 10 seconds, or what do you do, lady?
I'm just holding it on there.
How you
just
been?
for a minute. What's today?
I'm her prop. The date is the 18th. Hi. I think Aunt Audrey's inside. Oh.
At 5:15 here, so it's a 10-hour difference.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we could get seated, we'll get started here. Maybe just give a couple more seconds. First thing I'd like to do is welcome you. My name is Bob Minen. I'm the Cabinet Secretary for the Department of Wildlife and Parks. And the first individual I'd like to ask to come up to get this going today is the Reverend Henry Roberts to give the invocation. So, Reverend, would you please come forward?
Before my invocation, I would just like to say a couple of comments. I've been Russell's pastor for 18 years in Ottawa. Not only his pastor, but also his fishing friend. We spent several times here at the Hillsdale Reservoir. There are 4 characteristics that made Russell successful in my eyes, and that was the vision that he had, the delightful humor and enthusiasm that he possessed, the faith, the possibility thinking that he always acquired and was willing to share, and the willingness that that man had to take risk. He was a man of determination, perseverance, and I am thankful to have known him as a friend. Let us pray. Lord God, creator of this good earth, we come to give you thanks for today. We give you grateful thanks for the years of labor that has seen Hillsdale Reservoir become a reality. For what a lovely setting it is for people to come on vacation to fish and boat and ski its waters, to observe the V-wing flight of the flock of geese and the multitude of game around its shore. to sit and meditate amidst the setting sun glimmering across the water, and to be embraced by its cool breeze. O Lord our God, how wonderful it is to behold the beauty of thy creation. We are grateful for the foresight and vision given to people to bring to fruition such a beautiful area. And especially this day we come to honor and remember Russell Kreitz, who was such a conservationist of water, who with endless energy worked for adequate flood control for over 40 years, who was an enthusiastic supporter and advocate of this reservoir. May the recreational area which will bear his name be a fitting reminder of the love that he had of thy creation and of his unending service to his country and the state of Kansas. Instill in others, Holy Father, the desire and dedication to continue the work begun. Let us always be appreciative of men of vision like Russ. May the legacy continue in order that clean water and water conservation might be enjoyed by future generations. For this we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
We will, and we moved forward, and he was there every minute. My personal memory of Russell Kreitz is that the first time I went to a water authority meeting as a brand new employee in the state of Kansas, he was one of the first people right there in front of me, shaking my hand and saying, "Welcome to Kansas. Now what are we going to do? Let's move forward." He was always that type of person, positive, concerned about all the resources of the state, and he was genuinely a leader. And it was a real pleasure on my part personally to have known Russell. And I think it's extremely befitting that we're here today, and we're going to recognize Russell by naming an area after him. That area is located on the other side of the dam on a point called South Tecumseh. And South Tecumseh Point is going to be one of our major recreation areas. There's an outline on the back of the program that was handed out to you that does show the type of facilities that are under development there. That's one of the reasons we're not literally there on that site right now, is that it is in the process of development. At the conclusion of this program, I would encourage you, if you want to go over there, take the new road and take a tour of that area and drive around and just imagine what that's going to look like. It is a beautiful area. The whole lake here, Hillsdale, is a beautiful area. And I think that it's very fitting. On Russell's part, he knew what Hillsdale was, and it was one of his favorite areas. It was one of his areas that he enjoyed, so I think it's extremely fitting. We've had an opportunity to bring together people that have known Russell and people that have done a lot for water. Our first speaker this afternoon is one individual that has also taken a substantial leadership role towards water and natural resources in the state. He's lived natural resources, conservation all of his life. He believes in it, and he's professionally trained in it. And many of the things that he's done have taken the leadership role to do things such as funding the water plan, taking forward and pushing for legislation that would establish a dedicated funding account. And I'm sure that when he was in the legislature, many times Russell Kreitz was probably right there, encouraging, advising, and asking. With that, I'd like to introduce to you the governor of the state of Kansas, Governor Mike Hayden.
Thank you very much, Bob. And what a beautiful day it is. What a lovely setting it is to commemorate this special recreation area in memory of Russell Kreitz. Let me say that there are several guests here today who are not on the podium but out in the audience, and I think we should recognize them. Most of them knew Russell Kreitz. Certainly all of them have an interest in the development of Hillsdale Lake and recreation area. First, if you would please stand as I call your name and be recognized, the Mayor of Paola, Floyd Grimes, been with us today. From the city of Paola, we have Councilman Marvin Clark. Marvin, where are you? Right there. Thank you.
We have necessary state funds for the development of the recreation areas around Hillsdale Lake. We have Senator Jim Allen from Ottawa. Thank you, Jim, and his wife, Carol. We also have Senator Gus Bogina from Johnson County and his wife, Nancy. Gus, Nancy, thank you for being with us today. We also have thank you, John. And from the Kansas Water office today, we have Clark Duffy. Clark, thank you for being with us. Many people are gathered here today to honor the memory and deeds of Russell Kreitz. We're going to honor those by dedicating this recreation area of the Hillsdale State Park in Russell's name. It's a special privilege to be here with members of the Kreitz family. The Russell Kreitz Recreation Area is a fitting tribute to a man who was the president of the Meridazine Valley Flood Control Association for more than 30 years of the Kansas Water Authority. In fact, serving in at least his second tenure on that authority. He was very active, and he dedicated many years to water management in our whole state, not just in this area. He was a charter member and past president of the executive board of the Missouri River Basin Association. He received many citations from the Army Corps of Engineers, including the Certificate of Appreciation for Patriotic Civilian Service for support of federal flood control projects and the River Development Program. Russell shared his love of fishing and the out-of-doors with his grandchildren, who shared time fishing with their grandfather. In fact, it wasn't far from here that Russell used to take his grandchildren crappie fishing. Lou Constantino promised me there'd be some biting today if I had time to go. Hillsdale State Park has been developed and funded through the Kansas Water Plan. And I know that Russell would be proud that his name would be bestowed upon this recreation area. The Oglala Sioux Indians, our predecessors here in Kansas, had a chief named Flying Hawk, who once said that Indians and wild things know better how to live than the white man. For nobody can be in good health if he does not have at all times three things: fresh air, sunshine, and good water. Russell knew the importance of good water, and he dedicated his life for that cause. So now, we lovingly dedicate this area in his memory. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Continue to be in the area of water development. His efforts in supporting the flood control projects that the Kansas City District has been involved in, the navigation projects that we have been involved in, and even the recreational outlets that we have been involved in, have been a major contributor to the success of those projects and the realization here within the river basin area. It's been a distinct honor for us to be associated with Russell over the years, and it's only fitting today that his dedication ceremony recognizes the achievement of a great citizen from Kansas who has left his mark. And I think that all of you, as you enjoy the recreational facilities here in Hillsdale, you can think back of the contributions that this great citizen did during the time that he was here, and his efforts that he made to make everything a better place to live in. Thank you. Water planning in the state of Kansas, and that was the Water Authority. We're fortunate today to have with us the chairman of the Water Authority, and he's a lifelong individual that has had a deep interest in water resources of the state and been very actively involved. He comes to us from Hutchinson, Kansas today, and his name is John Baldwin. If you'd welcome, please, John Baldwin, the chairman of the Water Authority.
As I
contemplated coming to this meeting, it caused me to look back through a little history. And I've been involved with Russell Kreitz a little over 10 years. I had the opportunity to serve on the Energy and Natural Resources Committee at the Kansas Chamber of Commerce. And when we had the first meeting, I wondered who that little guy was who came to the podium with a glass of water. It was fresh, pure, clear water, and he invited everybody to enjoy it and to remember what it tasted like, because as we go into the future, that will be a big concern to all of us. And so with that insight, I got to know Russell quite well and appreciated his many efforts. And I think one of the things that Russell did to or participated with us in the Water Authority was he was always a little set of checks and balances out there that said, okay, if you're going to do it this way, this might be what could happen, and so on and so forth. And so I really appreciated his input, and he's left a lasting mark on that group of people. In addition to that, about a year ago, I had the opportunity. Russell missed his ride coming back to the Water Authority meeting in Garden City, Kansas. Now, you know, that could be frightful because they don't have any trains left or buses, so we figured out a way to get him home, and so he rode with me to Hutchinson, and we had some people there at a meeting and caught a ride with them and got him on home. But Russell and I had probably the best time being lost in western Kansas that we've ever had, because we heard a few of those fishing stories. We talked about, we encountered some of the humor, and we had a great time, and it's something that I'll never remember, will never forget. And so as Russell attended every meeting that he possibly could, and was distressed at the last meeting that he missed, and very sorry to hear that his health was just not holding up for him. So we appreciated all that he did for us, and he left a lasting remark, or left a lasting impression on the people in the authority. And I think the dedication of the park area here today is a very fitting remembrance. So with that, I would like to invite Lucy Kreitz up to the podium, please. Lucy Kreitz, this is Russell's wife, and we have a plaque here that I would like to present to Lucy and her family, and it has a picture of Russell on it in recognition of Russell L. Kreitz. On behalf of the state of Kansas, the Kansas Water Authority expresses its grateful appreciation for his devoted service and the significant contributions as a member of the authority. Thank you. We're honored. You'd like to make a few comments, Lucy?
Kreitz family, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks for your recognition of Russell's contributions to water resources in Kansas. There isn't time for each family member to express their appreciation today, but I would like to introduce those that are present on the stage. Our daughter, Kay Harrington from Pueblo, Colorado. Russell's brother, Al Kreitz from Belleville, Illinois. Russell spent over 40 years of his adult life actively working in one organization or another related to water. Most of the time, he was involved in several simultaneously. He loved every minute of the time he invested. Through Through the years, Russell enjoyed seeing many major improvements in the water resources of our state. He saw major flood control projects put into place. He had the opportunity to participate in the development of the first state water plan. It isn't as bad today as it was yesterday. While Russell enjoyed the opportunity to work on many important projects, his greatest joy came from the people he worked with. All of you here today enjoyed a special place of affection in his heart. I would like to tell you just how much I appreciate the choice of this particular facility being dedicated to Russell's memory. Russ was convinced that this particular reservoir could provide the joy of recreational activities to more Kansans than any reservoir that has been built to date. And he was determined that the necessary facilities would be constructed. He, of course, had no idea that just a few weeks before his passing, that it would be named for him. We came here and he showed me his dream of the future. That makes the selection of this park very special to me. This is just the beginning of construction. If Russ were here today, he would say to all of you, carry on. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Lucy, for those wonderful comments. If I could bear on the family, I'd like to ask Al and Kay if they would go down. And what we'd like to do now is we would like to unveil the sign. This sign is temporarily here, and as the area is developed, this sign will be moved down close to the area so that as you drive into the area, it will be basically impossible to miss it. You'll know for sure you're entering the Russell Kreitz area. So with that, I'd like to ask if you'd go down and help us unveil the sign. To express to you my sincere appreciation that you came out here today. Back in the spring and in the summer and in the future, enjoy this area because it is going to be a nice area, and I think it's an area that you can be very proud of. I would like to extend my appreciation to the family, to you, Lucy, especially for being here today. I'd like to express my appreciation to the governor and the colonel. Thank you. To all of you, special guests and legislators, everyone, thank you for being here. Enjoy the area, go over the tour, take a look at it, and thank you again for coming.
No, I just came out now.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm out there,
Nice ceremony.
Look this way, please. Get an elbow, please.
Have a good chicken cooking and something else stored in the way. No, I'm not standing there. No, Bill can't. No, that's okay.
Well, sure, absolutely. It's great to see you. Well, absolutely. Thank you. We're sure glad to do this in Russell's memory. It's most appropriate. That's right. I know you're proud of it. We are too. Thank you. We appreciate that. Glad to do it. Glad to recognize it.
Well, I went walking. You freezing? No, I'm not freezing.
Let me get under here.
Another one, please.
Okay, sure. You want us to move out a little bit? Run this way.
Hi, Eddie. I'm not going to try to make you a favor. They're all nice. They're all unique.
Get out of the line of fire.
Lady with her little camera.
Somebody better take
Someday
your
you guys,
picture. No one will
I'll be
know
able
you
to
were
sell
here.
these for a lot of money.
I know it.
Your kids and your grandkids.
Right. It's our nursing ability.
Nobody believes in that old, so I don't pay attention.
Because I would have done it. But a couple years ago, I was the first one. I should do so good by the time.
I think it's keeping this waistline and running up.
I think the trees look better from a distance than they do here.
The what?
The trees.
Oh,
the trees
yeah.
look pretty coming across
Yeah.
the dam.
Yes.
Get in front of you. You're right. That'll be me.
That's the last one. Yeah, I think I just got one more too. And I remember.
There's part of Kansas and Missouri where I'm in Red, and we're having breakfast at this bed and breakfast. Oh, it's not a bed and breakfast. It's a Cracker Barrel outfit. And we've been telling stories. Most of them are true, but some of them are not. Which is general. Some of them are told the way we like to hear them. That don't have to be truthful either. I have a beautiful waitress, a very accommodating person. Takes pictures of us and all that stuff. She may go along with us when they leave here, I don't know.
No, she'll be glad to see us go.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a good day. The weather's beginning to get nice outside.
This mine?
Homer's in good shape, and I'm in fair shape. And they got all these women to drive and tell us what to do, and we're pretty well free for the whole day.
Elizabeth is driving my van, and I doubt we'll ever get back. But we'll try.
We better.
You better. All right.
We're
We are headed
going
out to
in.
see
We're
your
going
cousin.
in to see what John knows about.
Well, we're going up Second
And,
Creek Church up there in Missouri where all our ancestors buried. That one that we know about. And see if we can get enough evidence right there to go back down to Paducah, Kentucky, or maybe even Lafayette or Bourbon County and find out some of our roots of our family earlier time.
And all that we're going to see today, I was too young. So I'm just going to listen to whatever John says is right, but everything that I say, when I remember, he says it's wrong. It didn't happen that way.
The problem with that whole thing is the embellishment of the thing gives it away. I mean, you not only have a preacher come when we're making ice cream, but I poured a little wine in, it wouldn't freeze, but have him ask, the preacher ask it for seconds. And you know that's got to be a no-so.
House in Nashville and made an apartment out of it, haven't they?
Yeah. What's happened on the old farm since that time that I was there and the house is gone? Oh, yeah. Well, I wasn't no bigger. Nobody here is that young.
Well, how old would you be?
Oh, I was probably 5 or 6 years old.
Well, I'm not existing, but I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to find out that Mother and Dad.
He said, I know about it. I was telling the kids this morning
whenever it came up here, and they done quite a little of their cooking with those doggone arms that swung around into the fireplace and swing them back out again. And in the kitchen part, there's a small room or pantry, I think, what was inside. And we got ready to go back home where we lived down there in Missouri, and I took a shoebox about so big like that and made us sandwiches or whatever they done, maybe once some sandwiches. They prepared food and put in it, put the lid on, wrapped it up, and then put string around it, 2 or 3 places in this way, and then they had a handle that they held down there. It had a corkscrew thing on each side of the handle sticking out like that, and they took the string and wound it in that corkscrew on each side, and I got to carry the lunch for a little ways by that handle. Just regular shoebox, and with a handle made for that purpose.
Were they coming up here?
What?
Were they coming?
They were coming up to the home place.
To the
That's
home
where
place.
I'm talking about.
Okay.
That happened in the home place.
Now,
there.
who would have lived there?
Well,
what was their name?
At that time, Grandma Rule, I think her name was Lucy. Was she a Spicer?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, she
Spicer.
was.
And your
Okay.
mama, what was your her?
Moore.
Huh?
Moore.
What?
She was a Moore.
More? Okay. But Lucy Spicer, and then Aunt Lena, as was at the house at that time.
Now, Aunt Lena, remember that we got on
Daddy was
a streetcar
maybe.
and went somewhere.
You
and,
probably ended up at Farrell View or
but then we got off. If we'd have got on the loop, we'd have got off at Kansas City at the station.
No, you got up at Union Station and come up over the top of the hill to the Inter-Urban Station. If
Union
you'd come out to Nashville on a train, you'd have left out of that Union Station.
Okay.
But if you
Because
come out here
we-
by electric car, you'd have had to come
No,
up over the hill.
well, I'm talking about the old streetcar. I think the old streetcar was
That's
in
what I'm
Lawrence.
talking about.
I think the one in Lawrence
Well, I don't mean
had
anything.
something to do with there. But when we walked over, or we went out there on purpose, because Mother, we went out and Dad raised me up and held me up in the air for a train to go underneath. I know, by that Union Station, and Mother had a dying fit because the smoke come up and it scared me, and Dad was a holding me over there,
Well, you
and
couldn't hardly keep
he
it
was a
from-
laughing, you know,
You
and
couldn't hardly keep from smoke coming up.
yeah, and I can remember that very plain, and then I know we went somewhere,
Well, yeah.
and I know.
They lived in one of the towns here a few years back. Pete Spicer. Pete and Anthony.
Well, there's that, what's that Douglas's name that they raised? Marion Douglas?
That's possible.
That they raised Marion Douglas, didn't that?
Yeah.
Annie and them raised him, didn't they?
One of them took off and went someplace. Where'd he go? Out west or out, I don't know where he went.
As I said, I just never was interested in anything like that, and I can't get any much information out of him.
Well, Dad evidently left at some time and took his brother. Is the reason he ended
Well,
up
you're
in
talking,
Mexico.
you're talking about Ernest now. He outfitted a covered wagon and took him off down through this country down here, and he ended up in the White Mountains down in New Mexico, where his brother Ernest died.
Yeah.
Is Ernest the one that lives in Arkansas?
This is
No,
the
that's
second
his
Ernest.
brother. His roommate had the TB, but nobody knew that at that time. But that because he put a lot of stress on himself, going back to school with the measles before he should have, that he contracted this TB. And that's where he come up with it. And after he got out of there and started to teach school, he came down with tuberculosis. They called it consumption at that time. And that's
I
when,
think something's in here.
I guess your dad probably went ahead and farmed then, looked after the farm, because he took his brother, or their brother Ernest, off down into the, I guess doctor said it's the high climate, dry climate, would help his lungs as much as anything, so they ended up in the top of the White Mountains down in New Mexico, and after he got them situated in the tent and everything, Dad started looking for work, and showed up to Block Ranch, where my mother, that Dad finally married, that's where they lived. Granddad Hunt the end of that sheep ranch business. And it's quite a little bit of story in that rule book right there about their marriage and so forth. Standing on the seats, and they had mother holding mother up over the top like this. And Mom said she could see the snow shooting by the windows underneath there like that. And Dad was holding her up in the air, and so if something come through the window, you know, wouldn't hit him. And finally the thing stopped. And that probably, if I remember, down around Wellington or someplace.
Now,
At that time, my understanding of that was Mother's dad, Granddad Hunt, had shipped some cars of sheep to Kansas City. While he was waiting for them to be sold, he went to one of these lecture series where they had special things happen. And some woman, or young girl actually, was asking people over the audience, you know, for the certain things, intimate things but Granddad figured just a plant, all of these people were just a plant of some kind or other, and said, does anybody else want to know, have a silver dollar? You know, look at the date on it and I'll tell you what the date is. And Granddad thought, hey. So he ran his hand in his pocket, got a silver dollar, looked at it like that, and stuck it back in his pocket and stood up. And she said, yes, said, you have a silver dollar and the date is such and such a thing, and that was the date on it. And Granddad sat down and she said, stand back up a minute. I have something else to tell you. That you don't live here. He said, you're here on business, and your family's in bad trouble. There's bad sickness in your family. You should go home immediately. And so he called.
Living over there on the home place when we got married.
Oh, I don't know. I think so.
Because he's over there to see her. Who's she living with? Huh? See, you don't know.
Didn't she just live by herself and teach
well,
school?
I was going to say, did Grandmother Rule ever live over there on the farm by herself? Or did Lena always teach school close around there and stay at home as long as she was alive?
Not always.
Huh?
Not always.
Well, you see, we came through from the east one time when she was up at Kirksville, and we stayed overnight with her. And then seems to me like we were in another place sometime or other, but it might have been, you know, her mind began to get bad because she had shorter circulation of blood to her brain, and they finally said that they called or wrote or something about Miss Lena, you know, better look about Miss Lena, because Miss Lena was she was a very expert teacher. Many of her children, she had them halfway through college by the time they got out of school, you know, if they was willing to study. But something happened.
I wish you had your clock here. He's got the old family clock. It's over 100 years old. Mildred Spicer. She's Mildred Early. Gave it to Elston. And he's taking it up to St. Joe to be fixed. It wasn't running quite right. And the man's so far behind that he said he couldn't get to it for several months. So it's still up there. I wish, excuse me, I wish.
Okay. I'll take one down here too. You don't have to see your face.
Turn around here where I can see you, John Rule.
Elston?
Daddy, look
Come
at
on
me.
over here.
Honey, she says look.
You want in the sun or shade?
I don't care.
He wants you over there.
Yeah, all of you get over there together.
Here by John.
All right.
Fire away there.
Now we're going to identify who you are, because someone will look at these someday and they won't have a clue.
I've got so many
That's the same guy that I listened to Crystal Radio with about
Okay.
100 years ago.
Well, it's getting close to that.
All right, so we've got Homer, how old are you?
Yes, I am me. I'm one of the important part of the rule. I'm the youngest.
He's the
I
head
am
honcho.
76 years old.
Okay. Then there's John.
How old?
John is much older
Like
than I
just a little bit of being a century old.
He's almost 87.
All right, and then we have.
Feel every bit of it.
How old are you?
Now here's their
There's
cousin.
Elston.
He's the same age I am.
No, he's younger.
83.
He's 83.
All right.
83.
And then we've got his wife.
And I'm 80.
Marine. Yeah.
I just had a birthday this month.
Well, you could never tell.
You had a birthday. Yes, I am. When I go.
And then we've got their son,
Dwayne.
Dwayne.
59.
He's 59. He's like all the Rule cousins, except for Kim.
We
And then we
have to
got
all tell the truth.
Homer's wife,
And I'm here.
Doris, and she just turned.
I turned. You're right.
75,
That's
6,
right.
something.
But
I
you
don't
gotta
know.
be terrible. Oh no.
I'm
This don't make it
Kim.
any worse than this.
I'm Kim Logan Rule. I'm John. No, I'm not. I'm
You're
Kim
kind of
Rule
Rule.
Logan. I'm sorry, I'm confused. I'm John's youngest daughter, and I'll be 42 in just a few weeks.
Okay.
Kimmy.
All right.
Yeah.
Turned over the 100.
There.
It's at the
I
bottom.
like your birdhouse.
It's at the bottom of the picture.
I like your bird feeder.
Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Okay. I've probably been on here a lot. I've been here a long time.
All right, and I'm offered the ride. Elizabeth Scribner.
I didn't put them far enough away from
she's not
Sandy.
yet.
55.
Not yet.
And then we got an iron kettle.
That's
And
bad. Now, this is my dad's grandfather and grandmother. This is Grandpa Rule's brother and his wife.
Okay. Wallace and Penn.
Between Farrell View and Nashua. This is the Second Creek Cemetery up between Farrell View, Missouri and Nashua, Missouri, north of Kansas City. I don't know the name of the road. Wind the film.
What?
Okay, now start it. Open it and see where it goes.
Okay, this is
Little man that put these letters on here, he sure got my stuff. Dad had a pet.
I'm gonna go get my book and
Unless you
rewrite
got
this.
Lane on
It's wrong.
Lane's buried here. It's buried here.
Well, I mean, in the book it's...
Boy, those are hard. Church where Dad's grandma and grandpa went to church. This is Lucy Spicer and Hiram Rule. It was a Christian church. So this is where Grandma and Grandpa, Hiram and Lucy lived, right?
Church.
Okay. Now you'll have to explain what this church is.
This is the Westman Chapel Church. When I started attending this church when I was 2 days old. And 86 years later, I come back and I'm refused admittance just simply because it's not open. But it looks like it's in great shape, and some of the people have really spent some time and money and prayers looking after it. Probably one of the premier churches of the United States.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Nice sunshiny day.
John, we'll take your picture. Where are
I
you?
want to see the
Right.
Now, Daddy wasn't here.
I was never here.
He's here now.
third or fourth generation of the bunch.
Yeah, go on up there, generation.
Oh, no, I don't. Well, I'll take
Isn't
pictures.
that a nice sight out through there? It's a nice church to go to in a nice setting. Come out and untie the rest of the miserable world.
It is. I'll grant you that.
And we go up this court, and you may see a sign up there that says, "Thank God for this land that He gave as a sustenance for our mother and father," and calls them by name. Look for that sign out in that road right there.
The backside of the outhouse, I just wanted to go.
Kind of an indelicate subject. They were old bastards. Most of them are deaf as a stick.
Where that foundation is, right, Dad?
What?
The foundation was there along
Well, I
this
don't know.
road?
They lived on farther, you know.
Oh.
They lived on farther west, I guess
Okay.
it is.
Do you know about Hoovers?
Hoover lived right over there. His wife's dead. Died 2 or 3 years ago. He said he left here in 1963.
Well, he evidently must be the son.
He's the last one that left here, Ernie Hoover.
Yeah, but see, the Hoovers that we were acquainted with when we went to church were right down from the corner of the cemetery, right on around the corner on the...
Over there toward Wesley Chapel Church?
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, east.
This way is
in other words, if I point
East
toward
is
it,
over here, Dad.
if I point toward it from the cemetery, right around that little corner and up that...
Okay, around the corner?
Yeah, and on the left-hand side. Let's see, what did I tell you his first name was?
Oh, I forgot.
So forth for their parents. Remember,
Now,
did you ever see that?
I can't remember that exactly, but Mrs. Hoover, before she died, she came here and visited with me, and she said that her people had lived here, and they was Ludlam.
Charlie.
Ludlam.
Charlie Hoover.
Her people was named Ludlam, and this is actually part of the old Jeff Ludlam place. Do you remember Jeff Ludlam?
Well, the name I remember, but I don't have it all over the place. How about Jake Reilly? Anything about Jake Reilly? What's the name of that school over there? You used to go to that thing.
Well, there used to be a...
No, I tell you, Miss Nellie Long was my teacher.
I was going to say, Mrs.
You know,
Wallace,
that's back a few years, like...
Mrs. Wallace over there is probably 75 years old.
They would curve around Blackwater on over here, a mile away, and then straightens out, flattens out kind of.
I can't place him myself.
He was a camp.
That's all new then.
Now, if you want...
The yard fence used to be right along about there.
Yeah.
And we had a Stiles out there. You walked up and over the top, got in the big wagon.
There was a fence across right out there with an old gate.
Yeah.
And the old house sat right here.
Yeah. Well, that house sat right there, that two-story house burned down while I was in church.
The two-story, yeah, because this wasn't a two-story that I got rid of.
Yeah, I know, but that's the one that replaced the two-story. Well, I tell you what happened. Everything got in gear, and somebody located a brand new house down in Holden that never been lived in. A man built for his son, and his son died out in California. And they went down there and bought that thing and sawed it in two, and that's the house you burned down. So that two of them got burned down here.
Yeah, I was going to push it over and everything, and then the honeybees had made a nest in it. Man, I couldn't even trim around it.
That's probably...
Now, these little trees and everything, I left them, and I left this big tree, and I tried to leave everything that I could, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm
And
glad...
if you'll hold on a minute, I got a picture of that old house.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Get out of the way here. Get over to one side here. Get
told you this place. He's always telling me it all wasn't like that at all.
I'm an exactor. Are you running that stuff?
Yeah, we're running it. You're by the well.
Got your shot, man.
At the old homestead.
We've been working around here today, so we've been mowing grass, working on the barn.
Did you take pictures of the flowers for Dovey?
Sure.
Well, I got the
Good
whole
shot of
house.
some of that stuff over there.
Okay.
Now, what is your name?
Neil. George and Anita Neal.
Okay.
N-E-I-double-L.
We ought to at least know your name. Yeah, I always remember our birthday was September 30th. Here's Kim. I'm not sure what she's doing.
Well, maybe it is a bunch of gravel. I don't know. I can't see anything.
I don't see one down at this end.
I bet it's 20 foot.
This is Toy Baptist Church where Grandma used to come. She went to the Methodist Church in the mornings. And then she came to the Toy Baptist Church at night.